Hello and welcome to Sam's on Wrestling. This is our round table, specifically our yay and nay. Essentially, it's a pro and con list, but that's a boring name, so we went with yay and nay. We are here to talk about a specific wrestling category and give the pros and cons just to see if it's actually a good thing or a bad thing. Where do we sit on the side of the fence? I am joined by our baby of Sam.
I am a fetus.
You are that little tiny little fetus.
A fountain of youth, they often call me.
If you went to the moon and you jumped into the Lake of Tranquility, you would just come out and nothing would have changed.
Pretty much.
That's exactly what it is. Whereas I would come out a brand new human. Today, we are going to yay and nay factions. WWE have gone a bit crazy on the old factions. Everyone seems to be in a faction. So, Triple H clearly loves a faction. He's been in a few.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a look at our factions. We're going to yay and our factions. But before we do that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Sam's on Wrestling. So do you know what, Sam? Do you want to kick us off give us a positive? Let's start off on a positive, strong foot. What's a yay for you? We have no idea, by the way, what we've got as each other. So
my first note, I've just written cool. They are really cool.
What, every single one?
No, factions as a concept.
The oddities, they're really cool, aren't they?
Obviously.
The LWO, really cool.
Would I be allowed to make my point?
No.
No, apparently I'm not going to be. I think they're really cool. I think the idea if you've got a group, the concept of like the NWO, DX, and the Nexus, you've got this identity of everyone's pulling together for the same cause.
So I've got a thing very similar then. Let's put a better word then. I think they're cool. Yay!
Sometimes we have to be intellectual.
If guys have the same ideology, it makes booking them very easy because they're all going into the same direction. They have the same thought process. They have the same pattern. And therefore, instead of one person pulling in that direction, you've got 2, 3, 4, 5 pulling in that direction, all trying to go for a specific goal or a specific ideology, as I said. Is that a bit better than cool?
I don't think it always has to be wordy. I said what I feel. They are really cool. I DX growing up, but
it's not cool because there are some that aren't cool. It's the idea that
I think the idea of a faction is cool. I think the idea of having wrestlers having like a group and it's almost like a gang.
So, because I always think about evolution and they're going in the same direction, and I think about DX, trying to cause havoc, NWO trying to take over. I think they're the best ones. The Four Horsemen trying to have a legacy about the best wrestlers and all that lot. When they've got people pulling in the same direction and going for the same sort of thing and moment, that works so well. And when one person's doing it, you can get on board. But when everybody's doing it, you're hearing it in different ways and you're doing it in different ways, but still going the same way. And I think that works really well.
And if you look at overall faction as like a singular character, it gives it so many more different flavours and dynamics to that. And it's more complex and it's more interesting to watch. It's done well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I've got a kind of cool similar thing with, I think it's the idea of the same ideology. I think that's what makes a group the best, is if, instead of just putting people together, we're just going to throw you guys together and be a group. If they've been together for a reason, if they've decided to I think my brain goes straight to the Un-Americans, weirdly, because I'm there going, they just literally sat there and went, we're being mistreated because we're not Americans, because we're Canadian, and suddenly they come together. So even though it's a horrible heel group that's about anti-American for no reason, suddenly where they're going, the point they're trying to prove, and they've gone, you think this, I think this, well then let's just do this together.
Yeah.
Simple.
Sometimes it's simple, and John Cena always does that thing of the most important thing is people need to know who you are.
Yes, yeah,
and that's a great way to let someone know who you are.
Absolutely. Can I go for a nay?
Of course you can.
Kind of on that ideology group, and I would like you to prove me wrong here, because you don't know this. Long term, not short term, long term, never ever worked for a babyface group.
No, I would agree.
Yeah.
I'm not going to debate it for the sake of it.
I've got DX, but they started as heels.
As long term as people think.
And that's the thing, it's really short, and they started to disintegrate really quickly because Triple H became a star. So, as a babyface thing, the minute it's a babyface, the whole point of a faction thing is it's meant to be heels. It's a number game, which I'll get to in a minute. So, babyfaces doing it doesn't make sense. Why do you need a group to band together? And then the long term, they always fall apart, or they don't go anywhere. They just kind of get a bit stale, really. And that is another negative. I think that a lot of factions get stale really quickly. I even put that as another negative. They get stale really fast, and because once you've done your storyline, then what?
Well, it depends because. So you look at the Bloodline and the Shield are the two examples I would say. They actually went long term, and with DX, it's always that thing of the rule is with the Attitude Era, it never lasts as long as you think it did.
No, it's really
It's
short.
a weird time capsule.
Do you know what it is? It's the Spice Girls. You go, Spice Girls, they're everywhere. Started about late 96, finished in 99, pretty much. And they're like, oh, all right.
It didn't actually last as long. But,
as a 5.
But with going long term, it's like with any wrestler, you just have to book new things. Mm-hmm. And I think Vince especially would get very lazy with factions.
He gets bored.
Because he didn't like them, he wouldn't book them. And therefore, it's justifying his own opinion of, oh, well, they've gone stale because they're factions. It's, well, maybe, but also because you haven't
let them go stale.
Exactly.
He left the bread out on the side.
Exactly.
Rather than putting it inside in a bread bin. You leave it in a bread bin. It stays okay. Stays it fresh. Keeps it going.
Well, I'm sorry, with the Bloodline, one of the greatest of all time, but we've proven it might be difficult, but it is possible for it to be going for, what was it, probably like 4 years
Still,
now.
4 years. But it's like the idea about keeping a new foe.
And you can have the same faction, but different members. If you think in the Bloodline now, there is only one, there is no single member of the Bloodline now.
It's all over
that was in the original Bloodline.
Yeah.
But it is still a Bloodline.
Yeah,
it can evolve.
absolutely.
So I think, I absolutely understand the point of it becomes stale very easily.
As well as never works with
You've got to so I think you've really got to take care of factions. But I would love to see a proper babyface faction that wouldn't pile on someone and beat them up. It's more like an alliance.
I think the way for a babyface one, and it sounds peelish what I'm about to say, but I think it's the idea of 3 people who have not been given the opportunity, proving that they can do it by working together to get somewhere, supporting each other, by teaching each other different moves and sets. And it could be it's the idea
for each other.
Yeah, and that's how you do it.
Could I argue New Day were babyface faction for a
I
while?
think they've got
3. But...
Yeah, do you know what? I always struggle with 3 as a faction anyway. Particularly if they're only tag team. So in reality, I would call. I know this is
Kofi Mania.
True. But I think that's more Kofi on his own. They just happen to be there. When I look at things, and I see Freebirds, 3 people in a Freebird sort of way. I go, you're just tag team wrestlers doing it together. So. But I would say that is still probably the best example I can think of Babyface for a long period of time. But even then, they never did a main event storyline or anything like that. So do they count if they get to just... They were looked after, but they were like over there sort of thing. So, yeah. Do you want to give us another part? Do you have any positives and negatives? What do you want to do with it? What do you want to go for?
I think a positive is that I'll link these two together. It builds stars and develops characters very well.
Build stars is my top one on here.
Yeah,
it's the easiest way to build a new star.
Absolutely. You just put someone who is new, maybe not too confident on their own. You put them with someone who is already a main eventer.
I've got a second in here. It gives new guys experience.
Absolutely.
You literally, I think that Evolution did both of those. It made Randy Orton Batista, but it also gave Randy Orton a chance to get seasoned. You know, you go with Triple H, be with Ric Flair, go and learn. Go and do a lot of things. You're not in the spotlight. You're not sinking or swimming on your own. I think Cody Rhodes with Legacy, he was kind of on his own.
Yeah.
Then he got a character. He got a reason, and he learned and developed so much under Randy Orton with Ted. So I do think we've got 2 there. We kind of have to put as a positive. It can build a new star, but it also could give that new guy experience.
But even then with the main eventers, so say Triple H, I know Evolution got stale and you don't like Evolution in general, but...
I'm up and down on Evolution.
Yeah.
I'm up and down. I liked Evolution, but the Reign of Terror made it very difficult, and they never lost enough. They literally, for 3 years, pretty much never lost. They lost to Goldberg, and I think they had no choice. I reckon it was in his contract. I'm convinced it was in his contract. But even if it was like Goldberg, and then Goldberg lost title like 2 months later, and that was it. Shawn had it for a month. Benoit had it for like 4 months, but Triple H went off and did his own thing for a tiny bit. And they're going... They never let anyone get over to be the main event, the guy on Raw.
No, agree.
Until Batista.
But I think with the main event that is becoming a bit stale and doesn't have anything to do, it can really give them a new lease of life. Roman Reigns.
Yes, absolutely.
Look at what it did for Roman Reigns. It just revitalised him in every way.
That's the third I've got here. We've gone, yay. Yeah. Can make the leader main event is what I've got here. And that's, I think, the art of a group mentality. The group really is to build up new stars, give people... something to do. I've just done yays. I'm going to do a big series of nays here. So I don't know how I'm going to edit and all of it. And now suddenly I'm just going to have them all over the screen. It gives people something to do. So I'll talk about that and say, we'll have that separately. We'll do that in a minute. But it can make the leader main event. Let's do that one. It's either to give someone something to do, which we'll do next. But literally, you put that guy, they're the leader. Everyone else is there to support them because they're there to run in or do things or make sure they win and stuff. Think JBL with the cabinet and stuff like that. That's what they are designed to do, to make a main eventer seem a bigger deal.
Absolutely.
Make them to that main event, because you're going, we think you are big enough and good enough to lead a group on your own, with them doing whatever they're doing. Think Bobby Lashley with the Hurt Business, for example. That put him into huge main event status. Yeah. So absolutely, the role of a faction should be either to get new stars over, give them experience, or to make a brand new main event. But on the flip side to that, sometimes it only gets the main eventer over. So once the main eventer is done, bye-bye you lot, you go and do nothing.
Straight
How often? Hurt Business.
Yeah.
Literally, you're just talking about it. Straight, bang, off you go. You are nothing. Where did they go? They got released, stuck with Omos. I think he's in NXT. Like, literally, what happened there? And that's something. Sometimes they do the job and make the main eventer, but it then makes these other people nothing because they suddenly start drifting. Like, where is the help when they break away? It's like when you see a tag team break away. There's one you're trying to make a star. And if they're trying to make the main eventer, I think DX is a great example. Triple H became main eventer. Everyone else just sunk. They all sank. They tried with them, but because they didn't have the star power of Triple H, Billy Gunn, they tried, failed. Road Dogg tried, failed. X-Pac tried, failed. Even China tried, failed. It didn't work because you didn't have the star power of Triple H or Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
What about a nay, Sam?
A nay is, I think, so I've written can be too many, and that relates...
I've not got that. Yeah. Absolutely.
That relates to too many in the faction, which were NWO.
NWO.
But also, there could be too many at once.
Yeah.
There could be too many, and I think we had a period where we did have quite a few. We had Judgment Day and the Bloodline. There's quite a few going on.
So you got two. So you've got and then... too many members in a thing, and another nay... too many happening at the same time. Yes. And you end up having faction warfare, which didn't work in 97. It's not working in 2024. Stop it.
Can. Wyatt and Shield, it can.
But that's 2, not 17.
Exactly. So you don't... Yeah, exactly. You've got to pick your factions wisely, and I say probably not have more than 3 at once. They're proper factions, more than 3.
Well, how many have also tried to be main event? Like, if you look, let's go to the summer of 2024. Let's go with them, because that's when that probably had the most. You've got Bloodline going on with trying to get Solo as the main eventer, as well as Roman just being in it. You've got Judgment Day with the guy being the world champion going on. Then you've got an LWO that's just drifting with Mysterio, I suppose, is the main guy and all that lot. Who else we got?
Bayley's.
Damage Control.
Damage Control, that's the one I was thinking.
Yeah, there was so many... And there was more as well.
Imperium,
Phantasma Del, whatever they're called, with Santos Escobar's team, that lot. And they went nowhere after they were finished. So, yeah, because that's my kind of next one with your thing, is once they've done their feud that they were booked to do, they then do nothing. And then it's stuff. So it's not about them going stale. It's like, once that has ended, the feud has ended, now what?
I feel like a faction always needs a purpose. It always needs there's a goal.
That's helpful. We talk about this on number 1. Like, cool. It's ideology. Yeah.
That's helpful. Obviously, you need that with singles people, but you can have a singles person float around for a bit and it's no harm. But when you've got a faction that's just a faction, like with Retribution, what after they had their few weeks, it was just like,
what's the point of you?
What is the point of you existing? And it's so damaging. It's so boring and dull when you've got a faction. So with the Bloodline, it was all about Roman, but also about everyone wants to win championships. It's a family, etc. Judgment Day is a weird one for me.
I like Judgment Day.
I like Judgment Day. They've grown on me, but they've almost become just a group of friends now.
Yeah.
Instead of originally, it was.
There was a lot going on in the summer, so and how Judgment Day worked. I know they dominated 2024, but so like for me, when it comes to groups. You're talking about the goal. I think there needs to be a writer's goal. Right, what are they trying to achieve? Do they achieve it? Then what's your goal afterwards? We always finish. Don't go finish. What's the story afterwards? Like, LWO turned up to go and take on Santos, and then they're like, well, now what are you? What is the point in you? You're not doing anything? Don't do that. Don't do groups for group's sake. Triple H, don't just put people together because of ethnicities or skin colour. That's a really bad way of making groups. Just throwing that out there. Every single Mexican person, get into this group. Stop it. Stop it. It looks bad. It doesn't make you look good. They can be a star on their own. They don't need to... Like Dragon Lee. Why was he anywhere near the LWO? Dead. Stop it. I do have a yay and a nay of the same thing.
Go on.
Yay, they win all the titles. Nay, they win all the titles.
Yeah, it has to be done right.
So the yay is, it's great to see it. It's really cool because it shows you what they're trying to achieve is we want to dominate and win all the titles. They then win all the titles, and that's great. The problem then comes, and I've got 2 nays in the same way. So they've won all the titles. That means the whole show is based around them. And I think the minute that a whole show is based around a group, I think Raw had that with Judgment Day for a while, and obviously SmackDown has been like Bloodline for 4 years. Sometimes it feels like everything else feels really peripheral and pushed to the side. And then when you've got all the titles, then even the peripheral stuff is just like, why are we even bothering? When Evolution had literally all 3 titles, Raw just sank immediately. Batista and Ric Flair had to drop the titles really quickly because it was just pointless. It just wanted the shot of all 4 with the titles, but they had no plan to do anything with Batista and Ric Flair. Randy Orton had already been just started his Intercontinental reign, and they were going to do it. And Triple H had already been champion for so long, and everyone was so like, "Oh, he's won it again off Goldberg, for God's sake!" So actually, it wasn't a good shot. It was just a bit of a. In retrospect, people are like, "It was amazing." It's like, no, it sucks. At the time, everyone hated it. So winning the titles is an aim, a directive, and I like that they do that because that's a target and they achieve that. And then they win all the titles and it's not good.
Yeah, it was almost a bit better with the Shield because it wasn't the world and it was just the mid-card and the
Oh, yeah, but that was the worst. That was awful because Dean never did anything with the United States. It's the worst. True. It's one of the worst title. It's the worst title reign that's over 200 days.
Yeah.
By a mile. It's awful. So, yeah, that's for me. So winning the titles as well as the show being based around them really doesn't actually help the other wrestlers and the rest of the show.
That's the problem. If you're not a part of this really cool thing, like the Bloodline, I think
NWO.
Other wrestlers suffered. Yeah, and NWO wrestlers suffered a lot from not being in that, and therefore, they're going to lose to the NWO Bloodline, and they're not as big a deal. And then if it's everyone else, it's not worth it.
When Roman had that title reign, you knew they were going to lose every single time.
Yeah.
And as much as that's always good to keep someone strong, eventually they're going, I don't need to watch this, Roman's going to win. Yeah. We were just waiting for WrestleMania, and that is one of the big problems with Triple H's booking, just full stop. A lot of the big moments always happen at the big shows, like what's the point in watching a B show? Yeah. You know the world title's not going to change hands, you know the tag titles might not even be on the show. It's a bit of an issue. I do have another nay that I would like to mention. Constant tag team matches.
Yeah.
If you're constantly in a group, you're always just stuck in tag team matches, 6-mans or normal tags. And after a while, there's only so many tag team matches you can watch with the same group of people. And if you then, remember with the group, they then have people who are against them and they have to find partners. There's only sometimes I can watch Cody and Cody and like Kevin and Randy and all those people against the Bloodline. That whole summer just felt like I was watching the same thing. And Judgment Day are in a million tag teams. We're picking on them because it's 2024, and I know things have changed. But like we discussed this a couple of months ago, and these it was constant. These tag team, another tag team, another tag team, another tag team, and they always win the tag titles. Every main group wins the tag titles. Go through all of them. They all do. And it drives me up the wall. I'm sick of it. Yeah. I'm sick of it. Any others? What else you got?
Well, I've got one that kind of relates to that, actually. Too many shenanigans.
I've got that as well. Screwy finishes.
It's all the time.
Yeah.
It's too much. Like, again, every now and then, that's absolutely grand, and it's a part of wrestling. It's a good thing when it's done right. But the Bloodline, and they're not the only ones.
No, but they were the worst. Roman cheating.
Because it went on for that long, and it's so predictable. And
NWO, back at your wow. There again, are they? All right. Another screwy finish, is it? They can't win clean.
Yeah,
you're allowed to win clean.
They should.
It is allowed. Heels are allowed to win clean. Factions are allowed to win clean. You don't have to always end screwily.
Well, I always loved the Shield when they would have those 6-mans. And they wouldn't win because of cheating necessarily. They'd be smarter on how they played the numbers game tactically. So they would somehow outnumber people on 3v3s and isolate people. And they were clever, like that Daniel Bryan, Kane and Ryback match. They just swarmed.
To be fair, that's different because they're all in the match.
I get it.
I always think screw finishes when the person's a one-on-one or a tag team and they get involved.
That's what I'm saying. It isn't screw because they're actually just playing tactics because they're a unit.
Yeah, but they're in the match. What happens when it was like Dean Ambrose on his own? They still...
Oh, no, I agree with that. I agree with that side, yeah. Absolutely.
Put on the opposite side of that with screw finishes, a positive, a yay, is having numbers game brings fear. Automatically. The minute you've got that very massive wrestling trope now, but a man or a woman is in the ring and they suddenly get surrounded, you suddenly go, oh damn, they're in trouble.
Yeah.
And there's something you can't beat about numbers games. That's the thing about a numbers game. When you suddenly like 3 people suddenly there, and you're going, I'm on my own. Oh no, they're in trouble. Think about the Nexus.
Yeah, Nexus is the best example.
That's a great example. That whole thing was just like, whoa, this is unbelievable, because they were the numbers game, and there was people scared that the minute they turned up, Wyatt 6, the minute they turned up, like, oh my god, what's going to happen? There's so many of them, blah, 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 Wyatt family as well. Yeah. So I think the numbers game is a really huge positive that you have to take into consideration.
It can take individuals from being really not taken seriously. Nexus, individually, you wouldn't take any one of them seriously.
None of them, no.
Suddenly there's 8 of them against the scene, and you go, oh my god, like, the scene is absolutely in so much trouble. And I think, that elevates them and makes them much bigger of a deal.
Yeah.
Immediately, there's something very just primal and natural about that image of 7 or 8 people surrounding one man.
Yeah.
That story is told immediately.
You can't.
In one image, you can say that is the hero, these are the villains, and he is in so much trouble. Yeah. An underdog, just with one image.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I think that's probably a lot of the yays and the nays. So where do you fall in the world of the faction, Sam? Where do you fall?
I really like
you yay or a nay?
I'm yay. I'm 100% yay. I can see the negatives, but I always go back to, well, you're not using a faction properly, or you're not booking them right. I think the concept of a faction is brilliant.
I'm a nay.
Okay.
And I'm a nay not because of what you just said, but because it never, ever, ever ends correctly. Like, the Shield is probably one of the best examples of how you do it. Dominant didn't massively screw finish. They were clever. They had 6-mans that were very good, but they also did individuals and tags. Made them elevate 3 new stars, because instead of you either elevating new stars, giving people experience, as well as making the main eventers, they made 3 main eventers, and then they ended it, and there was an end goal. So many other factions don't have that. They just kind of fall apart, or just fizzle out, or just stop being. And that's my biggest problem. It feels like there is no end goal. It feels like there's been no end game. They just end. And the best factions of all time that we always list, almost all of them didn't end very well. I think the only 2 that you could argue ended reasonably was Evolution and Shield.
Yeah, Evolution, actually.
Yeah,
but I know it was more gradual, but there was clear moments.
And they messed that up as well, technically, because Randy Orton's was a mess up. Batista took the role, but that built it really well. And technically, Triple H Ric Flair did a terrible storyline afterwards, but it kind of at least concluded. Some that just kind of once it's finished, the storyline, and we're done. And the amount of times a faction just end up doing nothing, either together or not together, is ridiculous. So for me, they are some of the most famous things in wrestling history. You could literally just name a million groups and they're all amazing. NWO, the 4 Horsemen, Evolution, The Shield, Judgment Day, Bloodline recently. These are all great groups. But for me, after a while, they start to grate on me. I think a faction should have a short-term shelf life. I think it needs to have a goal. I think it needs to achieve the goal. I think it needs to elevate young stars or elevate a main eventer. And then I think they need to end it. And I don't think they ever set out with that plan. They set out with the beginning bit, and then they never follow it through. And that's my biggest problem. If they start following through on all of these, as well as getting rid of some of them, then I might be more inclined to be happy. But if you had a yay and nay barometer, and this is yay and this is nay, I'm there. I'm not there.
Yeah.
I'm there because I just want, like, if that's the middle, I'm there. Like, it teeps.
I'm probably the opposite towards you. Yeah, I'm quite close, but I can see the negatives. I think a lot of time they sell a lot of merchandise.
Yes, they do.
So
companies, my God.
So companies will hang on to them a bit too long for that reason, because they keep selling them.
Yeah.
So that's why
there's another yay for you. It's another yay for you.
But,
they
and
do
then
sell
and an A
merchandise.
because it caused them to go on too long as well.
Yeah. Well, they do drift. Anyway, I think that's a lot of yays. What do you think? Where do you fall on the yay and the nay of a faction? Please put it in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you on our round table next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Ba-ba-cha-wow-wow. Other shields and...
Oh, right. Was that what you were trying to do?
I'm just trying to think of many... no. No!
There we go.
No!
You nearly did it.
I'm not persuading you. No!